I get a kick out of every place we go. People are, there's always people act like, oh, well, everybody hates him, and I'm telling you, the T-shirt sales don't really show that. I can't keep T-shirts in the trailer, so is it really that bad?
At one point I heard you mention I can't imagine doing this without my dad, without Danny.
No, there's no way I could have got to this level or do this.
But this year, and you started having to kind of imagine that, or did you have the mental toughness to ignore that? When your dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, have you thought about how things will change in your future yet?
I did, and don't want
to. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I knew this was coming.
I know, dude.
It's all right. So, I honestly didn't think he'd be here in June. But
yep.
So he's good now. And there'll come that day. All right, you can stop rolling now. No, okay, I'm good now.
You're good, but
yeah, there comes that time. Everybody needs to think of that, whether it's pancreatic cancer or anything. It could happen leaving here today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be cancer. It doesn't have to be a race crash. It doesn't have to be anything. When it's your day, it's your day. But it did take a toll on me for quite a while.
And how did you handle it? Did he help you handle it?
No.
How'd you find a way to keep doing what you're doing with that kind of reality? Because, like you said, mental toughness is about almost like dealing with two opposing realities at once. And here's something that is, you've done something where death has been part of your career for this entire time. And now, how does this affect your nerve? How does this affect realizing how precious life is?
Well, I've never taken the precious side of life for granted. I can tell you that because you see, I've seen Kevin Gobrecht go. I've seen Jason Johnson go. I've seen Steve King go. I've seen a lot of people lose their life in these cars. And when you look at it, the number of people that get hurt and killed versus how many times a year we race and how many people race, it's honestly, it's such a small number.
Right.
But it does hit home. Jason Johnson was he was sitting at my house about 7 days prior to, and me and him were never like, hey, let's go out and have a beer. We were never that kind of friendship. I respected him on the track and I respected him off the track. He's a good father, good husband. His son was come to my house to swim, and he came over, and I actually didn't know he was coming. His kid was swimming there, so he come to pick him up, and we spent about an hour and a half talking and had a few beers. Tried to get him to try Crown Royal. He wasn't into that.
Right.
But you get to know someone sometimes in the most unique ways, and here you are. You come a week later, and you're like, wow. It just puts it into such perspective that you're sitting here. I still go home and say, man, Jason was sitting at that table, and he's gone. But that's the nature of it. I think some of that correlates with my father. He said he didn't want to be a burden, but it's not a burden.
No.
In no way. So.
You mentioned Hulk Hogan earlier in this conversation. And
that's because I met him one time in Vegas.
Did you? I'd love to meet that guy. But I grew up in Minnesota, and it is the kind of spiritual home of professional wrestling, right? And you get out there, and you're so successful on the track now. You got guys either cheering or booing you like you are Hulk Hogan or John Cena. You're like the good guy that people have gotten a little sick of in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and so. How connected are you with the people who come out to the track every night? Like this culture that exists 10 miles outside of every city in the country, you know what I mean? Like that you are a totem for this other America that I keep hearing about on TV and on the radio. Like, what is it like being worshipped and reviled by these people? What does that feel like?
It's hard to get used to, I can tell you that. I remember I come out here in 97. No one knew my name. You know, they don't know who Donny Schatz is.
Right.
But you have to look at it from a kid's standpoint that's 3 years old. I was the same way. I didn't know. You know, I knew the big names.
Right.
But they were no different than the other guy. I didn't know his name. They did the same thing. So I had to, well, why would that guy want my autograph? I'm nobody. You know, and everybody out here is. So you have to think of it from a young kid's perspective, really. And it's no different than them kids going to the wrestling matches.
Right.
They didn't know who Hulk Hogan was till they went there. And obviously he had the best show and the best muscles and the yellowish shirt and the biggest dude. Whatever that was,
right.
Them kids got drawn to him that way, and that's why he was who he was. So it's the same thing here. It took me a long time to realize that and to, you know, get into that side of things. You know, there was nights when you just get so focused on racing that you didn't really pay attention to this and that was part of the show and what the fans were doing. And after a certain period of time, you realize that's the important part. There's nights people don't care whether you won or you run dead last. They got to come and interact anymore. There's a lot of people come and just want to give us a hard time about having Ford on the side of the car, or, you know what I mean, something like that. So, and that's why they come there. Whatever their reason might be, it's fun to be able to interact with them. And
so you're okay with being the heel?
I can tell you, I'm okay with being the heel. I didn't sign up for it, but I can tell you, I'm sure there's probably any guy in the pit area that would want to trade me for that position. And you know, I get a kick out of every place we go. People are, you know, there's always people act like, oh, well, everybody hates him, and I'm telling you, the T-shirt sales don't really show that. I can't keep T-shirts in the trailer, so is it really that bad? You know, at the end of the day, and that all boils down to having, you know, the one person we haven't talked about here is my mother. She's the one that, from the time we had the ability to have our merchandising at the track and the ability to bring it to people, she has operated it like a business, whether it was here or there,
right.
Or it was people or no people. It's always open. She applied the same thing she did in business to that, and it's built me what I am. You know what I mean? It's there. I know there's people come to the races, and this is sad to say, they come to the races, and they'll come and tell him how great my mom is, but they can't stand me. And I just say thank you,
yeah, because
that's all you can do. I mean, that's what mothers are for. She enjoys it. She doesn't get to watch the races. She doesn't, you know, she likes to hear the results, but she's as big a part of this as what I could ever be, and she enjoys interacting with the fans and bringing them what they can from my point of view.